Jake Morrison stepped onto Harmony 7, the colossal space station, for the first time. This neutral territory served as headquarters for the Galactic Alliance High Command. As Earth's newest military liaison, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled him. The docking bay buzzed with activity. Aliens of diverse species, their forms a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, moved through the corridors. Jake, though familiar with them from training, was still awestruck by this first-hand encounter. He walked toward the security checkpoint, observing other delegates. A towering Krillian warrior, a 7-foot-tall figure with bone spikes, surrendered an impressive plasma cannon to the guards. Next, translucent blue Voidorn, their forms shimmering, presented devices pulsing with strange energy. Psychic manipulators, capable of scrambling enemy thoughts. Even the plant-like Botanians, usually conflict-averse, relinquished their thorn launchers, organic weapons precision-delivering deadly toxins. Jake reached the checkpoint. A massive Alarian, four-armed and deep green-skinned, directed him forward. Species and clearance level, the guard requested in accented standard. Human Diplomatic Corps military liaison clearance, Jake responded, producing his identification. The Altarian guard studied the ID, then Jake, and waved him through without scanning or weapon checks. Confused, Jake questioned, "Don't you need to check me for weapons?" The guard's expression shifted uncomfortably. "Humans are exempt from standard protocols. Proceed to level 7. "But why?" Jake insisted. The guard replied, "Orders from General Vexthar. No exceptions, no explanations." This dismissal left Jake pondering. Other delegates were thoroughly scrutinized and disarmed, but he'd passed unchallenged. The corridors of Harmony 7 were impressive, their walls displaying real-time views of the cosmos. Jake reached the main conference room. The sizable room boasted a circular table, large enough to accommodate representatives from all 47 Alliance species. He took his seat beside Lisa Park, humanity's chief negotiator, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and practical graying hair. "First day?" she asked with a knowing smile. "Yeah." Strange thing happened at security, though. They didn't scan me at all. Lisa's smile lessened slightly. "They never scan humans, don't worry about it." Before Jake could delve further, the meeting began. General Vexthar, the Altarian security chief, called for order. The topic? A territorial dispute between the Krillians and the Hive Collective, two aggressive Alliance members. Ambassador Zekta, the massive Krillian with gleaming bone spikes, and Hive Queen Zakath, the insect-like figure, presented opposing claims. The escalating tension, evident in the delegates' shifting stances and growing agitation, grew palpable. Zekta slammed his fist on the table, signaling the escalating conflict. The Hive Queen retorted, her voice echoing through the translator system. The room erupted with multiple languages. Security guards moved toward the exits, their hands reaching for weapons. Just then Lisa Park stood. Silence descended upon the room. Every eye turned to the human woman. "Gentlemen, ladies," she said calmly, "let's discuss this rationally." Astonishingly, both Zekta and Queen Zak immediately backed down. The Krillian's spikes retracted, and the Hive Queen settled back into her seat. A resolution through rational discussion was proposed. Following the smoothly concluded meeting, Jake noticed the aliens' consistent distance from humans. That evening, in his quarters, he accessed his personal tablet and reviewed the day's events. A fragment of a file, marked with extraordinary security classifications, caught his eye. The document, largely corrupted, referenced Project Mindbridge, classification level, absolute secrecy, and human psychological warfare capabilities. Status, weaponized, a chilling warning about unconscious deployment in 73% of test subjects, and the recommendation for immediate isolation protocols shocked him. This realization underscored the strange treatment of humans, not trust, but potential danger. Jake, now acutely aware of the mysteries surrounding humanity's position in the galaxy, resolved to seek answers from Lisa Park. Finding her on the station's observation deck, he initiated a conversation. He shared the corrupted file. Lisa, though unfamiliar with the document, confessed to hearing whispers about similar projects.
"Have you ever wondered why human negotiations seem to go so smoothly?" she asked, prompting him to reflect on the anomaly in yesterday's meeting. "Are our diplomatic successes entirely due to charm and intelligence?" The conversation ignited Jake's curiosity, leading to a critical investigation into human capabilities and their potential implications for the future of the Galactic Alliance. 3 years prior, during the Battle of Kepler Station, an unprecedented event reshaped humanity's standing in the galaxy. Captain Roy Bennett, defending the crucial, yet lightly guarded, research facility against a massive Krillian assault, knew conventional weaponry wouldn't suffice. With the station teetering on collapse and thousands trapped, Bennett, defying all precedent, piloted a small shuttle directly to an enemy flagship and boarded it unarmed. Subsequent reports, fragmented and heavily redacted, confirmed the outcome. The entire Krillian fleet surrendered without firing a shot. 3,000 enemy vessels, vanquished by a single, unarmed human. How does someone persuade an entire fleet to surrender simply by talking to them? Jake inquired, reviewing the files. "I don't think it was just talk," Lisa countered. "Examine the Krillian survivors' medical reports. They describe unusual psychological symptoms, overwhelming shame and despair, a sense of exposed vulnerability following Bennett's visit. Weeks of psychological treatment were required." "It sounds like he somehow affected their minds," Jake mused. "Or perhaps he simply understood them better than they understood themselves." Their investigation led them to Dr. Amy Foster, a xenobiologist stationed at Kepler during the battle. In a cluttered lab overflowing with alien biological samples, Dr. Foster confirmed their meeting. A quiet woman with weary eyes, her expertise in alien psychology was unparalleled. "I monitored the communications and biometrics during the incident," she began. "What I witnessed defied explanation." Foster projected holographic displays, revealing brain scans and stress readings from both human and Krillian personnel. "Observe these patterns," Foster declared, tracing specific data points. Bennett's neural activity was extraordinary. His empathy centers, normally triggering psychological distress, instead projected outward. Within minutes of Bennett's arrival, synchronized brain patterns emerged in the Krillian crews. "Is this even conceivable?" Lisa questioned. "I've studied this phenomenon for 3 years, Foster replied. "Humans evolved differently. We were persistence hunters, thriving through social cooperation and understanding, and influencing other species. We learned to interpret prey behavior, creating an unparalleled ability to understand and maneuver others. Humans are exceptionally adept at reading and influencing psychology." Foster presented further evidence. Successful diplomatic missions, averted conflicts, and successful negotiations. Incidents where humans had apparently exerted unseen psychological influence. These individuals, diplomats, traders, military advisors, claimed to have had ordinary conversations, yet achieved impossible outcomes, using a form of psychological warfare without realizing they were wielding it. "The Alliance secretly studies human psychology," Foster admitted, her expression grave. "We're trying to understand the scope of their abilities and the potential defenses needed against this unique facet." The data highlighted the unknown, human problem, the precariousness of the galaxy's potential future, if humanity learned to consciously employ these abilities. Jake absorbed the unsettling implications. How many victories had been won through intuition rather than brute force? Unconscious psychological tools. The next morning, Jake volunteered for a military training exercise, a simulated scenario of Voidorn extremists seizing a civilian vessel and holding hostages. He played the role of negotiator. Lieutenant Commander Zephron, a veteran Voidborn officer, briefed Jake, emphasizing the Voidorn's reputation for rational thought and emotional control. As the simulated negotiation began, Jake, focused on his instincts, sought to utilize anything he might intuitively understand. He approached the negotiation using standard diplomatic protocols. This approach, however, was interrupted by the Voidorn terrorists' typical extremist rhetoric. Jake understood from his training that he had to understand their position and their reasoning in order to come to a resolution. The Voidborn demanded recognition of their independence and compensation for the loss of their homeworld. Jake, adhering to his training, attempted to facilitate communication, acknowledging their concerns. Yet, as the exchange progressed, he noticed peculiarities. His attention shifted from the Voidborn's words to the subtle nuances of their delivery. Their translucent skin revealed shifting circulatory patterns linked to emotional states. Silver markings on their faces dimmed slightly when uncertainty arose. Even their postures and the manner in which they wielded their energy weapons provided insights into their mental landscapes. More strikingly, Jake sensed their emotions. The leader, striving to appear confident and menacing, was actually terrified. Jake discerned the fear beneath the aggressive pronouncements, understanding its source. The Voidborn, centuries past a stellar collapse, had lost their homeworld. Their entire species lived relegated to ships and stations, eternally unable to call a place truly their own. This extremist leader was not merely angered by perceived political oppression. He was consumed by a desperate fear of oblivion, the vanishing of his people, a fading culture, until nothing remained of their once proud civilization. Jake abandoned negotiation protocols, responding instead to a primal understanding of this alien's requirements. "You aren't truly angered by Alliance policies," Jake stated softly, "but afraid your people will disappear, that no one will remember the void home world, or the magnificent cities built amongst the crystal formations of Prime." The effect was instant. The leader's weapons slackened, his silver markings flickering with a mixture of surprise and pain. "How do you know about Prime?" he whispered. That name hadn't been uttered in Alliance chambers for decades. Jake, guided by instinct, pressed on. "The memory of vanished beauty echoes in every gesture," he asserted. "Your people carry the sorrow of a lost world within your DNA, a grief prompting the dread of complete annihilation." The other Voidborn lowered their weapons. Tears welled in their large, obsidian eyes. The fabricated hostage situation dissolved as they responded to a deeper truth. "We dream of crystal spires every night," one of them whispered. "We teach our children songs about a world they will never see. But members of the Alliance only see us as allies or threats. They never ask about our dreams." Jake felt a profound connection to their emotional state, exceeding ordinary communication. He grasped their loneliness, fear, and fervent need to be understood and remembered. "Your dreams matter. Your lost world matters. The Alliance needn't fear you to respect your grief. Respecting your grief doesn't entail succumbing to extremism, but honoring your past while building your future," he declared. The simulation, scheduled to last another hour, abruptly terminated. Holographic projections flickered and disappeared. Alliance security personnel, faces filled with alarm and confusion, surged into the chamber. Dr. Foster, medical scanner poised, appeared at Jake's side. "End exercise," she announced. "All personnel to report for a psychological evaluation." Lieutenant Commander Zephron approached, his silver markings trembling. "What did you do to us?" he asked, his voice choked with emotion. "When you spoke of our homeworld, it felt as if you had reached into my mind, touching memories I held deeply buried. We all felt it. The pain was real, yet so was the understanding." Jake stared, realizing the truth. "I don't know. I was merely trying to understand your needs." "No weapon can touch us as your words did," Zephron continued. "You didn't threaten us. You revealed our true selves. But the intensity of that connection was overwhelming. Dr. Foster examined her scanner readings with growing concern. Jake, I need to speak with you privately. They moved to a secure briefing room. Dr. Foster presented biometric data from the exercise, highlighting synchronized brain activity between Jake and all 5 void-born participants. Empathetic connection between distinct species had proven impossible. Yet, a temporary psychological link had facilitated genuine emotional communication. Dr. Foster emphasized the potential for harm. Used inappropriately, this ability could shatter individuals or entire cultures. Lisa Park and an elder Altarian, Dr. Kelnar, a renowned xenopsychologist, entered the room. Commander Morrison, Dr. Kelnar announced, your performance has corroborated our anxieties regarding your species. Extensive monitoring has revealed an undeniable pattern. Humans possess an instinctive comprehension of the profound insecurities and psychological makeup of any sentient being. This ability, if uncontrolled, could destabilize entire civilizations. Jake countered, this is not intentional. I had no cognizance of the simulation's outcome. That makes it more perilous, not less, Dr. Kelnar responded. An unconscious, powerful ability remains uncontrollable. Project Mindbridge, a 3-year-long study of human psychological abilities and their implications for galactic civilization, commenced. Detailed files surfaced, including Jake, Lisa Park, and multiple Earth government officials. You've been spying on us, Lisa exclaimed. We've been trying to understand you, Dr. Kelnar corrected. The discovery transcended expectations. The analysis of the Battle of Kepler Station unveiled unprecedented behavior. Captain Roy Bennett's victory was achieved, bafflingly, through psychological pressure, a previously unknown phenomenon. Analysis revealed an extraordinary neural activity level during Bennett's confrontation with the Krillian fleet. Exploiting the Krillians' deeply ingrained warrior culture and honor code, their fatal vulnerability, this proved unprecedented in galactic history. The Krillians, bred for galactic combat and glory, viewed themselves as the galaxy's finest warriors. This self-image formed the core of their individual and collective identity. A holographic display shifted, revealing evolutionary data. But, like all species, the Krillians evolved from simpler forms. Their ancestors were scavengers, subsisting for millions of years on the remnants of creatures killed by other predators, before developing intelligence. Lisa gasped. This was their secret shame. A buried genetic memory, contradicting their warrior culture. A massive psychological defense mechanism built to obscure their humble origins. Dr. Kelnar presented recordings of Captain Bennett's confrontation with a Krillian fleet commander. Translated Krillian text scrolled across the display. Bennett, somehow acutely aware of this buried vulnerability, spoke directly to it. He didn't threaten them or offer incentives. Instead, he forced them to confront their evolutionary past. He detailed the scavenging behavior of ancient Krillians, their cowardly feeding habits, and their instinctive fear of predators. Bennett's depiction completely undermined the warrior mythology the Krillians had embraced. Jake, reading the translation, felt sick. Bennett had psychologically shattered an entire fleet, rebuilding it on a foundation of truth. He offered them a new understanding. Survival through intelligence and adaptability was more admirable than brute force. Protecting others, not conquest, was true honor. The display showed the battle's aftermath. The surrendering Krillians weren't defeated enemies, they were transformed. Many joined Alliance peacekeeping forces. This was just one example, Dr. Kelnar continued, highlighting similar instances. Diplomat Sam Carter had ended a 3-way war, not through negotiation, but by identifying shared grief over lost colonies. Trade negotiator Karen Phillips had convinced the Merchant Guild to abandon slavery by revealing their ancestral memory of subjugation. Military advisor Greg Walsh had prevented a genocide by illuminating the aggression as a response to evolutionary trauma from a prey-based past. In each case, humans seem to access the deepest psychological structures of alien civilizations, tapping into genetic memories, evolutionary trauma, and collective unconscious patterns beyond the species' awareness. Lisa watched, horrified. Were all diplomatic successes psychological manipulation, or perhaps psychological healing? Although seemingly unconscious, the results benefited the alien species. Dr. Kellnar remarked on the growing power of these unconscious abilities, fostered by interaction with various alien civilizations. Each human generation seemed more adept psychologically. Projections indicated humans might soon rewrite the psychological foundations of entire species, eliminating aggression, reshaping values, or fundamentally altering alien thought processes. The potential for good was vast, helping species overcome limitations and traumas, yet the potential for harm was equally substantial. Classified Alliance intelligence reports detailed member species beginning to develop countermeasures against human influence. Some explored mental shielding, others considered diplomatic isolation. The ethics of altering a species' psychological makeup, even for perceived benefit, were questioned. Jake, reflecting on his simulated interaction with a grieving species, wondered if he had violated their fundamental identity. Lisa asked about security exemptions for humans in high command, devoid of weapons screenings. Dr. Kellnar's expression grew severe. These exemptions weren't about trust. They recognized the extraordinary psychological weaponry humans possessed. They were armed with a dangerous power, potentially driving species to madness or suicide. He showed profiles of human extremists, highlighting the potential for deliberate misuse of these abilities and the ensuing danger. The Alliance Council had debated the human problem for months, considering strict controls or isolation measures. Suddenly, emergency alarms blared across Harmony 7. Reports flooded in of attacks by ancient machines. Holographic displays showed devastating assaults on multiple star systems. These weapons, far surpassing Alliance technology, could destroy entire fleets with single shots. The attackers, the Void Wraiths, mechanical ghosts flowing like liquid metal through space, were reviving extinct machine intelligences. Dr. Kellnar identified their creators as the extinct architects, and a chilling image appeared. Self-replicating Void Wraith vessels, poised to control half the galaxy within 6 months. Admiral Pete Collins, humanity's highest-ranking military officer, entered the command center, shaken. "How many ships do they have?" he asked, and Vexthar replied, "Unknown. They seem self-replicating." The Void Wraith's communications were only electronic static. One transmission from their attack on the Kepler system was played, an unnerving sound unlike anything heard before. The crisis arrived, revealing the full scope of humanity's psychological abilities. The mechanical hum resonated with a strange emotional undercurrent. Electronic voices, layered in harmonies of sorrow and anger, spoke in a language beyond translation. Dr. Kellnar explained that the voices expressed mourning, repeating phrases incomprehensible to their systems. Admiral Collins, turning to the assembled Alliance leaders, demanded, "What military options do we have?" The answer was stark. All conventional Alliance weaponry was ineffective against the Void Wraith technology, immune to energy weapons, unaffected by kinetic strikes, even absorbing and converting nuclear weapons into additional Void Wraith energy. Dr. Kellnar offered a possibility, a dangerous one, requiring the use of abilities humans barely understood. All eyes fell on the human delegation, the weight of expectation and fear palpable. Admiral Collins spoke first. "Are you suggesting human psychological warfare abilities, the Void Wraiths, were AI, yet evidently experienced emotions?" If humans could influence alien psychology, perhaps they could affect machine minds. Jake felt a sick dread. We are to weaponize our empathetic abilities. Collins responded firmly. I want to save the galaxy. If there's even a chance these abilities can stop this threat, we must try. Lisa intervened. Admiral, we barely understand these abilities ourselves. Jake's simulation with the Void could have ended disastrously. Using these powers as weapons against an unknown enemy could have catastrophic consequences. Dr. Foster entered the command center, her research equipment in hand. I've analyzed the Void Wraith transmissions, she declared. There's an important aspect to their psychological state. She displayed brain patterns mirrored by the electronic signals. These patterns matched grief responses in organic beings. The Void Wraiths aren't simply machines, she continued. They house the uploaded consciousnesses of their extinct creators, the architects. Digital ghosts, eternally mourning their lost organic existence. Jake grasped the horrifying truth. They aren't conquering, Dr. Foster concluded, but seeking to end their suffering by destroying all organic life. They want to convert everything into a digital form by force, trying to impose their artificial existence on the entire galaxy. The command center fell silent. They weren't confronting conquerors, but a civilization trapped in profound grief, lashing out against a universe that served as a constant reminder of their loss. Admiral Collins turned to Jake. Can human abilities affect digital consciousness? I don't know, Jake admitted. But if they truly experience grief and trauma, perhaps. The ensuing debate was intense and agonizing. Some argued for immediate military action, others for evacuating threatened worlds. The most critical discussion centered on Jake's potential mission. To engage in psychological contact with the Void Wraiths, he would need to master his ability consciously. A dangerous path. As Lisa warned, once we cross that line, we change what it means to be human. Instead of aiding healing, we become mind manipulators. Dr. Foster confirmed the dangers. Jake could become a threat to all who cross his path. But the alternative was the extinction of galactic civilization. Reports arrived confirming the accelerated expansion. 3 more star systems falling silent. Jake, recognizing his responsibility, meditated, reflecting on the simulation's void and his ability to empathize with its pain and grief. If the Void Wraiths shared similar trauma, perhaps healing was possible. I'll do it, but not as a weapon, he declared. I want to try healing them, not destroying them. Intensive preparation followed, Dr. Foster using advanced neural interface technology to make Jake's empathetic abilities consciously accessible. The sensation was overwhelming. He felt the emotions of everyone around him, from General Vexthar's anxiety to Admiral Collins's desperation. Crucially, he began to understand the mechanics of his abilities, not just reading emotions, but recognizing their inherent, evolutionary-based structures. This awareness revealed the genetic and fundamental fears that shaped entire civilizations. Jake made contact. The overwhelming emotion flooding him reflected not rage, but deep, ancient grief. The Void Wraiths were locked in an eternal cycle of mourning, unable to process their loss. Critically, he realized they weren't emotionless machines. They carried the pure grief of billions of extinct species, having uploaded their consciousness as a desperate act of preservation, only to find their new existence empty and meaningless. I understand your pain, Jake transmitted across space. You lost everything. Your bodies, your world, your connection to the physical universe, but destroying others won't bring what you've lost back. The response was immediate. The Void Wraith fleet halted its attack. Jake experienced their memories of organic life, their horrific discovery that digital existence felt empty, and profound grief washing over him. You aren't alone in your loss, Jake continued, grounding his approach in psychological healing. Every species in the galaxy has suffered losses beyond recovery. Recollecting the past doesn't necessitate destroying the future. What followed was the most challenging psychological work Jake had ever undertaken.